Today we're going to be discussing rider's position. This is Zoe and she is on Fantasia. We're in a jumping saddle, and most of our gear that you're going to see, and we're in a 5-point running martingale and we're in a jumping saddle, and what you're going to see when she's in this position in the saddle is you're going to see a sitting trot, you're going to see a 2-point at the trot and a posting trot. We're also going to discuss what the posting diagonals look like, what the canter leads look like in a sitting position and also in a 2-point position. All right, so what we're working on is we're working on the correct position and also what the incorrect position looks like and feels like. Sometimes you have to know what the incorrect position is in order to get yourself in the correct position on the horse. Now right now, this is the easiest gait to do. Zoe is walking, and what you're gonna see is you're gonna see her position, her shoulder. Right now, the way I have her sitting in the saddle, the equitation that we're gonna do today, the way her position is gonna look on the horse, her shoulder is lining up with her hip, and then her hip is lining up with her heel. And at the walk and at the trot, that's a pretty easy position to keep. We're going to change our leg position once we get to the canter. But for now, at the walk and the trot, you can see a nice line that Zoe's got from her shoulder all the way down to her hip and all the way down to her heel. And so when we're riding, this is the walk, and you're going to see her hips move a little bit left and right. We talked about this when we talked about what the gaits and what the horse's legs are doing under the rider. And this is that 4-beat rhythm at the walk. Okay, Zoe, when you're ready, squeeze and push her up to the trot. That's it. Good girl, Fantasia. Good girl. Zoe's in the posting trot. And what you're gonna see is you're gonna see her body rising and falling with the leg that's against the wall. Okay, and so a nice way, an easy way to remember when you're riding in a ring and you're riding in a certain direction, whether you're in a dressage saddle or an English saddle or a Western saddle, if you're posting, it is easier to balance by riding on the outside leg. And so when you watch Zoe, her seat goes up out of the saddle when Fantasia's outside right front leg goes up. And so watching Zoe go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, it's right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, and if you're following a leg, you'll hear right, 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 right. Okay, so I did a couple of different things. You can do it based on down, up, down, up. You can also say what the legs are doing. Left goes forward when she's sitting, right goes forward whenever she's posting. Okay, so you can say it left, right, left, right, left, right. And you can see how she's balancing her seat. She comes out of the saddle with the horse's right front leg. Or you can just simply say right, right, right. Okay, Zoe, switch to the wrong diagonal, the inside diagonal. And so when you have a rider switch to the incorrect diagonal, at least tracking to the left, what you're gonna see is more of an off-balance position. Zoe's body and the horse are going to lean a little bit more to the inside. And so we're posting with the inside diagonal, but tracking this direction, we're supposed to be posting with the outside right diagonal or the right leg. And so when you watch Zoe, you can see a little bit of it's almost like driving and turning left, but you're supposed to be going right, okay, at the same time. It feels like it should be the opposite, right? So when you're posting, a lot of coaches will also tell you to look down at the horse's legs to see what you're doing. The problem behind that is that you're taking your eyes off where you're going and your intention, and you're putting it down trying to figure out with your eyes what your horse is doing. If I have Zoe close her eyes, so Zoe, close your eyes and feel what the inside diagonal feels like, good, and sit a bounce and change to the correct diagonal. When you change the diagonal, you sit for an extra beat in the saddle. So Zoe, we're gonna do that again. Go ahead and open your eyes. Okay, good. So she's posting right now in the correct posting diagonal. She's rising and falling with the leg on the wall. Go ahead and sit for an extra bounce in the seat. And you'll see when she sits that extra double bounce, it changes that posting diagonal. Okay, this is her inside posting diagonal. We're gonna sit for a beat extra and change to the outside posting diagonal. Good girl. Okay, very good. All right, Zoe, you're gonna go to your 2-point position. All right, so when we're jumping, when we're doing poles, when we're doing obstacles, this is the position we're in. We're in the 2-point, or we call it the half seat sometimes. What you're noticing is she's now no longer posting with the horse. She's holding her body just above, and this is honestly a basic athletic position. If you think about basketball, you think about football, you think about tennis, you think about a lot of skiing even. This is a position, this squared up mini squat, half squat position and balancing with your feet underneath you is called your 2-point. It's a basic athletic stance that we do. Now, Zoe, what happens if my legs go too far forward in my 2-point position? So push your feet forward and watch the rider's position. She is now sitting. She's no longer raised up. Oh, her horse even did a downward transition. It was exactly what she was supposed to do. When a horse feels, at least in a training program with champions, if you sit down and you sit back and you do that with your feet, the horse is actually supposed to slow down. So when Zoe was in her 2-point, go back to your 2-point. She's now up and out of the saddle and balanced. Her shoulder is a little bit in front of her hip, but her hip and her heel are in alignment. And so what Zoe's doing is you can see she's balanced. Zoe, pull your leg back. What happens if your leg comes back? Watch the rider's position and watch the horse's reaction, okay? Sometimes you have to do the wrong thing, right? And be in the wrong position to know what the correct position feels like, okay? So what you're feeling now is she now pushed her leg back to where it was supporting her hip. And now she's got a lot better balance. Look at her horse. Her horse sped up when her leg went back. Her horse slowed down whenever her leg went forward. And so a lot of your position is going to affect what the horse is doing. Good girl. Okay, now go to your sitting trot. So open your shoulders, that's it. And Fantasia's got a really big step. She's got a very suspension, full, lofty step. And so you're going to see Zoe working very hard at keeping not only the balance of the horse going, but also keeping her body in the saddle, moving with the horse, okay? And this horse has a big trot. She has a very lofty trot, okay? And good, Zoe decided to go ahead and drop her stirrups because it is easier to sit the trot, believe it or not, whenever you don't have stirrups, especially with a lot of practice. Good job, Zoe. Nice. So what you're seeing with the rider, we have not changed our position that much. We have not changed our shoulder and our hip and our heel more than just a couple inches, okay? A little half halt and just kind of balance her back. That's it. Nice job, Zoe. Good. Good. This is your sitting trot. Notice how she's got a little bit of a stomach crunch. Her hips and her body are moving with the horse. You're balancing around the horse, and yet if you grip too tight, you bounce. If you don't have enough muscle balance, you're too loose, you're gonna shift in your saddle. And Zoe's worked really hard on her seat. She's got a really nice seat. Keep breathing, find your stirrups. That's it. And now post. And what I want you to feel, Zoe, again, because she's got years of experience, she can go right into that correct posting diagonal at the trot. Very good, Zoe, okay? All right, we're gonna go ahead and reverse and go the other way. All right, we're now just going to show a little bit tracking this direction. We did a lot of work tracking left. We're going to do some work tracking to the right. And so what you're going to watch is she's going to first just establish her walk. She's got a good working walk. She's changing the shape and the bend of the horse. Now that we're tracking to the right, she has to use her right leg to make the horse's rib cage and make the horse shape in this direction, okay? And what we're really talking about is more about the rider's position. But what I also want to touch on is I want you guys to realize that the rider's position does make a difference, okay? So when you're working on your position and where your position is, it makes a difference what the horse feels. And we showed that a little bit at the canter. When she pushed her legs forward, she fell out of her position. When she pulled her legs back, her horse went faster. Okay, so establishing a good position and a connection with your horse is a lot of work, and no stirrup work helps with that. Zoe's ridden dressage, she's ridden Western, she's ridden jumping, she's ridden bareback, she's ridden a lot of different disciplines that are helping her establish this position that she's been working on. Go ahead when you're ready, push her into the trot. Okay, so we're just sitting at the walk right now. Most of the time, if we do the 2-point at the walk, what we're doing is we're working on just getting our heels down and where to put our legs. So if we do a 2-point at the walk, it's just to kind of warm up our legs. One thing that's different also about riding versus other sports, very few sports have us push our heel below the pad of our foot. And so when we're watching Zoe's position, how part of the way she's keeping her leg in the correct position, go ahead and turn. How she's keeping her leg in the correct position is she's got a little bit of depth in her heel. And so when you're watching her trot, her foot is staying correct on her stirrup. Her leg is in the correct position from her hip all the way down to her heel. And what's helping her keep this position is that nice little hug that she has going around the horse. Good girl. Nice job. That's it. Good girl. Go ahead and hold your 2-point. From here, when you hold your 2-point position, what you're watching, she's got her heel just right under her hip. If she puts her leg too far forward, she's going to fall back. If she puts her leg too far back, she's going to fall forward. And so it's that basic athletic stance, and she's got a little bit of muscle that's holding around her horse. It's establishing a connection with her. She's not going too fast or too slow. Great position, Zoe, good girl. Now you're going to balance her back and slow her down just a little bit for the sitting trot. Okay, good. That's it. And then you'll see the horse adjust. So the horse slowed down just a little bit. She used her seat. She's still keeping her leg right there in connection with being under her hip. That's a girl. The sitting trot's probably the hardest, especially on a big horse. So Fantasia's got a lot of movement underneath her, and Zoe is working very hard. Okay, you have to. You know, a smaller pony or a smooth horse or a flat horse, it's easier. So Zoe is on a horse that's got a bigger step and a bigger trot. That's a girl. And so she works, her stomach muscles are working, her leg muscles are working, everything is working to maintain this position. Anytime you go from the different disciplines, you're always working on your seat, you're working on your leg position, you're working on establishing a rhythm with the horse, a balance with the horse that communicates with them in unison. You know, you're working together with the horse versus against the horse, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of time to do that. But working with a horse like Fantasia, she's got great gaits, she's got very big gaits, but Zoe, she had a nice challenge. You know, she had to work on keeping her seat and using her muscles to establish a correct position with Fantasia.